The Las Vegas Raiders are the most improved team in the NFL, and I'll prove it to you with 4 reasons, all within 10 minutes' time. Jacob Hebert here for NFL. We're going to break this down for you. ESPN was the one that gave me this idea. It started because on Thursday night of last week, the NFL released their schedule for 2026. Friday morning on Get Up, obviously it airs on ESPN during the weekday, they had Damian Woody on. Damian Woody is a big Jets fan. Mike Greenberg is a big Jets fan, and Damian Woody played for the Jets. They said there's 5 NFL teams that did not get a primetime game this year. The Arizona Cardinals, the New York Jets, the Miami Dolphins, the Tennessee Titans, and the Las Vegas Raiders. Of those 5 teams, who will impress you the most of what they did in free agency and what they can do in the NFL season? And they both said the Jets. And that's understandable. They're Jets fans. But it's inaccurate. The Raiders are the one that did the most. Why? Because of what they did in free agency, what they did in the draft. And I'll give you the 4 reasons, the 4 main reasons of why. Number 1, the decision to go and even think about trading Max Crosby, proceeding to do it almost, and then it falls through at the end. Not on them, not their fault, but it did happen. It would have netted them a couple of first-round picks. Then they go on this massive spending spree where they bring in Kwity Paye, who is going to be the Max Crosby replacement. They bring back Malcolm Kuntz. They bring back Eric Stokes. They then go and sign Clay Walker and Nakobe Dean. They go and sign Jalen Naylor, who was a 3rd receiver in Minnesota. At times showed that he could be the 2nd receiver in Minnesota. They want that there in Las Vegas. Maybe he can grow into being the number 1 wide receiver. I doubt it, but you never know. And then they bring in Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Baltimore. They needed help on this offensive line desperately. It was a desperate thing. They needed help. They needed so much help at this point. They had to do whatever they could. They bring him in to pair him with Jackson Powers-Johnson, Colton Miller, and hope that offensive line kind of levels off a little bit and becomes a lot better. Then they bring back Matt Gay. Okay, sure. They said it's an extension, but really he was a practice squad guy. They'll have him battle with Daniel Carlson. That'll be all good. One of the biggest moves they made also was bringing Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, who he was in Atlanta for 2 years, mostly was a backup last year. But when he did get to play, he did win some games for them. They finished off the year on a heater, so to speak. But this is more of he's going to help along Fernando Mendoza. You knew the Raiders were going to draft Fernando Mendoza. You knew it. You just had to figure out when. You didn't know when. You knew when you were going to draft him. You know that you were going to draft him. You didn't know who was going to mentor him. And that's the key thing. Who was going to mentor him? Well, Kirk Cousins was in that role last year. You know he can do it. And you know he can give you starting reps. You know he can start games for you. You know he can win games for you. Your hope is that you get a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers arc, or Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love arc of you can go 3 years of this guy as your starter and then turn it over to the young guy, turn it over to the kid, and it work. That's what you hope for. It's not going to happen, but that's what you would hope for. You're hoping that Kirk Cousins, when he's done, can turn, at least either in Las Vegas or done completely, turns it over to Fernando Mendoza, and Fernando Mendoza gets it and turns it on right away. You're hoping that. Everyone hopes that. It's obvious. But you bring him in because of, and here's the connection, new head coach Klint Kubiak and Kirk Cousins. That was Kubiak was the offensive coordinator for Kirk Cousins in Minnesota in the first few years. Those are connections. That's what you look at for as a person. You say, okay, what's the connection between this coach and this player? Is there any? Is there a connection between? Okay, yes, he played defense for that guy, so there's a relationship. That's what you look for. When you get to the draft picks that they had, you knew they were going to select Fernando Mendoza. That was easy. That anyone could have named that. That was 100 out of 100 could have named that. That was obvious. And the thing is, you bring in a guy like a Fernando Mendoza to learn from a Kirk Cousins because they're both kind of similar, tall guys. They work the play action pretty good, rely on the run game. That fits all what Kubiak wants to do. I really like what they did in the second round, bringing in trading Stoops. They also drafted his former teammate later in the draft. Stoops can play corner, he can play safety. There was a lot of safeties that could do that this year, where they could kind of play every role. Everyone's looking for the next Nick Emma Ward. Okay, they're all looking for him. They feel like Stoops can be that. And he showed that at Auburn. At Arizona, at Arizona. He showed that. And you can show that at Arizona. You can show that at a top 5 school, at Auburn, at any school that you can go to. You can show that. It's impressive. It really is. Keyron Cross, I believe it's pronounced. Yeah, it's Keyron. Okay. Keyron Crawford, I'm having a hard time with names today. The edge from Auburn. I like what he did. He's obviously the returning him Max Crosby. Everyone is going to get less reps because Max Crosby takes like 98% of the reps. But the addition of Kubiak, the returning of Malcolm Koonce, and then drafting Keyron Crawford. Yes, there's less snaps to go around, but your hope is if you're Kubiak, I don't have to be the superstar now. If I still get 10 sacks, it's amazing. But I don't have to get 10 sacks. If I get 10 sacks, I just had a great year. I don't have to, though. The same goes for Malcolm Koonce. The same goes for Keyron Crawford. They don't have to because Max is across the field. If Max is on the field and he's healthy and he's ready to roll, then that's all you want. That's all you have to do. In the third round, they select, I'm going to try to pronounce this name, Trey Zoom, the center from Texas A&M. He was listed as a guard. They announced him as a guard. So the chances are he's going to play guard because he actually played more tackle in college than center. He only played center this year. He played over, I think, let me get the number exactly here, 3,021 career snaps at left tackle and 124 snaps at center. They're going to put him at guard to put him alongside Tyler Linderbaum, Jackson Powers-Johnson, Colton Miller. They're just going to try and build this offensive line as much as possible, which I like this idea. Then in the fourth round, you select Jamad McCoy, the issue was his injury. He suffered a torn ACL. He missed he missed all of last year. And he could have came back. He didn't come back. Who knows why? But the biggest problem was anytime you hear the word that was being thrown around for Jamal McCoy's injury was degenerative, meaning it might get worse and worse and worse. It might never come back. It might, who knows? It might regenerate, but it might not. Chances are it probably won't because when you throw that word around, it's not going to come back. You hope for the player it does because he is a good player. In 2024, he would have been the top cornerback in the draft. But because he came back in 2025 and got hurt, that's the problem. So he slid to the fourth round because no one wanted to take a chance. The Raiders took a chance. This is also very typical Raiders. They do this. Injured players that need a second, third, fourth chance. They do this. That's what they do. Fourth round, Mike Washington Jr., the running back out of Arkansas. This is very Klint Kubiak. And this is not just Klint Kubiak. This is very Kubiak-esque. They draft running backs, multiple running backs. If they have a lot of running backs, they still draft a running back. They want multiple running backs. It's one of their things. You put them in there and you say, let's roll. They want multiple running backs. Build up that depth. You have Ashton Jeanty. You're not worried about him, but you want to have more depth. In round 5, Dalton Johnson, the safety from Arizona, the teammate of Stooks. They both kind of do the same thing. Both can play nickel / slot corner. It's all the same thing. And then both can play safety. So there's versatility, which, again, everyone wants their Nick Emewoy kind of player. I don't know why I keep pronouncing his name. Nick Emewoy. It's not hard to say, but I can't say it for no reason. That's why you brought him in. That's why I bring Dalton Johnson. You hope to see that these guys can do that, or at least show the versatility of it. Round 5. This is a name I'm going to butcher. Okay, it's a really hard name to say. I believe it's pronounced. He's Kian Masses, the cornerback from California. You're just building up your depth, building up your depth, building up your depth. Once you get into the third day, that's all you do. Build your depth, build your depth. In round 6, Malik Benson, the wide receiver from Oregon. You needed some wide receiver help. He has potential. You work with it. Round 7, Brandon Cleveland, the defensive tackle from North Carolina State. You, again, building depth, building depth, building depth. These are not bad picks. But those were the first 2 reasons. What they did in free agency, what they did in the draft. And I know we kind of gone over a 10-minute timeline, but for reason 3 and 4, they were kind of tied together. Firing of Pete Carroll and the hiring of Kubiak. I'm a big fan of Pete Carroll. I really am. But I don't think that job fit him at all. It was too much of a rebuild process. It wasn't like, okay, one side was good, one side needed to be rebuilt. It was both sides are bad. The only thing that's pretty good is the special teams. And even that was bad. It didn't work. He was too old to take that job. It would have needed a multi-year process and a younger coach. He was neither of those things. He couldn't do it. 10 years ago, yes. Now, no. You bring in Klint Kubiak, who his offense, run game, play action. What does Cousins do very well? Run game, play action. What does young quarterbacks want to do most of the time? Play action, which leans on the run game. So it helps the quarterback. It helps the quarterback. It helps the offensive line because they can run the ball, which will help out Ashton Jeanty, who couldn't run the ball at all last year. It helps out the receivers because there's more spacing. It separates the defense because it spreads them out so much. It does all these things. It's an advantage for the offense if you do it correctly. Do I think this team is very good and will be a playoff team? No. No, they won't be. I'm going to say that again. They will definitely not be a playoff team. But that's because they have 3 playoff teams ahead of them. The Chiefs are better than them. The Broncos are better than them. The Chargers are better than them. But can they tighten that gap a little bit in year 1? Yes. Yes, they can. Because they did get better. They did get better. They spent a lot of money, which is uncharacteristic of them. But they went, and now they have an opportunity here. They have a really good opportunity. Can they continue to build this team? They will surprise people. I think I have them at this point. I'm going to give them 7 wins. I think they have 7 wins. I don't think it's enough. I think in that division, you need to almost get 11. And they're probably going to get 7 wins. But I think they're better. And I think that's in and of itself is an accomplishment. I think Klint Kubiak's the right guy for this job. I think he fits what this offense is going to want to do anyway. He's going to call the plays. He's going to Kirk Cousins fits him, and Mendoza can learn that because it's easier for a young quarterback to learn play action because they know that. They learn that it's going to help out the run game because they're going to lean on the run game. It's going to help out the offensive line. It's going to help out the wide receivers, and it's going to help out the defense because the offense will be on the field a lot longer and give the defense time to breathe. Let me know in the comments how many wins will the Raiders have in 2026, and also, are they the most improved team in the NFL? Let me know in the comments. For NFL World, I'm Jacob Hebert. Out.